What if everything you learned about Africa was shaped by a lie? A story crafted to erase its achievements and justify conquest. For generations, Western history books began Africa's story with European arrival, painting the continent as a blank slate. This myth of absence was a tool of empire, designed to silence African voices and justify domination. But what if we asked, what was Africa before outsiders arrived? What stories did it tell about itself? To answer, we must unlearn the old narrative and seek out the truths that were buried. This journey takes us to ancient cities, royal courts, and the workshops of artisans and scientists. We must learn to value sources long dismissed, epic poems, textiles, archaeological ruins. Africa is the cradle of humanity where our shared story began. For millennia, African societies built empires, pioneered technologies, and created breathtaking art. Ignoring this is to ignore a fundamental part of human history. It's time to set aside the myth of darkness and listen to the story Africa has always told, a story of light, presence, and achievement. The old narrative lingers in our classrooms and media, but it's time to challenge it. Africa's true history is one of diversity, complexity, and innovation. Let's begin to see Africa on its own terms. The myth of a static, primitive Africa was invented to contrast with a supposedly progressive Europe. In reality, Africa was home to vibrant civilizations, vast trade networks, and powerful dynasties. The Kingdom of Aksum, in today's Ethiopia and Eritrea, was a global trading power, connecting Rome to India, minting its own coins, and adopting Christianity centuries before much of Europe. The Mali Empire's wealth was legendary. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca changed the world's gold markets. Timbuktu became a center of learning, with libraries and universities attracting scholars from across the Islamic world. From the Swahili coast city-states to the Benin Empire's masterful bronzes, Africa's societies were innovative and cosmopolitan. Great Zimbabwe's stone architecture and the Kingdom of Congo's diplomatic ties to Europe show a continent of achievement. These were not isolated tribes but complex states with rich cultures. To call Africa a dark continent is to ignore centuries of brilliance. The evidence is everywhere, if we choose to see it. Africa's history is not one of absence but of presence and power. The myth was always a deliberate erasure. History isn't just written in books, it's sung, spoken, and remembered. In West Africa, griots were living archives, preserving genealogies, epic tales, and laws through performance. Their role was sacred, advisors to kings, keepers of memory, and teachers of values. Through epics like the story of Sundiata, they kept history alive for generations. This oral tradition was sophisticated, ensuring knowledge survived even when written records were lost. But Africa also had a deep tradition of written scholarship. The manuscripts of Timbuktu reveal original works in astronomy, mathematics, medicine, and law, proof of a vibrant intellectual culture. These texts and oral histories are not alternative, they are primary sources. Listening to Africa's own historians, from griots to scholars like Abdelrahman al-Sadi, gives us a fuller, truer picture. Oral and written traditions together shatter the myth of a voiceless continent. To respect Africa's past, we must listen to its own storytellers. This is the first step in correcting the record. The idea of a technologically stagnant Africa is a myth. African metallurgists mastered iron smelting centuries before Europe, transforming societies and enabling powerful states. Mathematical artifacts like the Lubombo and Ishango bones show advanced understanding tens of thousands of years ago. Ancient Egyptians developed calendars that shaped the modern world. Artistic achievements, from Nok terracottas to Benin bronzes, demonstrate technical mastery and deep meaning. These were not mere crafts, but masterpieces encoding history and belief. Politically, African states like Great Zimbabwe and the Oyo Empire built complex systems of governance, law, and diplomacy. These were not simple chiefdoms, but sophisticated states. Africa's legacy is one of innovation, creativity, and statecraft. The evidence is undeniable, if we look beyond the old narrative. Africa's story is one of ingenuity and achievement. Reclaiming Africa's history is an ongoing revolution, led by Africans themselves. Today, archaeologists and historians are uncovering ancient sites and re-examining old findings with fresh eyes. In Senegal, megalithic circles reveal complex ancient societies. In Sudan, the cities of Kush show a civilization that once ruled Egypt. Each discovery refutes the myth of a continent without monuments or history. African curators are demanding the return of looted artifacts and restoring their true meaning. They reinterpret these objects as royal regalia, sacred items, and historical documents, not just tribal art. New books, documentaries, and digital archives are making this knowledge accessible worldwide. Scholars like Cheikh Anta Diop pioneered this movement. Today, their intellectual descendants use genetics, linguistics, and archaeology to connect Africa's past. This is more than correcting the record. It's building a new foundation for African history. African voices are now telling Africa's story. The guardians of the past are shaping the future. Africa's story is not just ancient glory, it's resilience in the face of trauma. The slave trade and colonialism brought devastation, but Africans never stopped resisting. Armed uprisings like the Maji Maji Rebellion and Ya Asantewa's Stand showed fierce defiance. Resistance was also cultural, preserving languages, religions, and traditions against all odds. In the diaspora, new music and art forms kept African memory alive. Even colonial tools, like the printing press and Western education, were repurposed for liberation. Leaders like Nkrumah and Kenyatta used their knowledge to dismantle empires. Today, resilience is seen in tech, artists, and activists shaping Africa's future. The challenges are real, but so is the unbreakable spirit forged over centuries. Africa's story is one of survival, adaptation, and hope. The thread of resilience connects past to present. It lights the way forward. The echoes of Africa's great empires are alive today, fueling a new sense of pride and possibility. Reclaiming this history is the foundation of a confident African identity. No longer defined by stories of lack, Africans are drawing strength from their true heritage. This pride inspires creativity, innovation, and a vision for the future. The past is visible in names, architecture, fashion, and art. Modern Africa is the heir to its own greatness. Understanding this history changes Africa's relationship with the world, from charity to partnership. It empowers the diaspora, countering centuries of racism with a legacy of achievement. Africa's story is a story of humanity, of shared progress and genius. By challenging the old narrative, we open ourselves to a richer, truer world. The pride of knowing this history is transformative. It fuels a new African dawn, rooted in a profound past and a limitless future.